Oh yeah, Hallow and Tide were both about to have a very poor time mentally.
They were, and the time we're about to have is a talk about intuition, which is a dangerous thing.
Mm.
I haven't given this intro in a while, but humankind has long sought answers, far longer ago than I have given this intro. The truth about the stars, ourselves, and all of our reality. Reality defies understanding. Humankind takes shortcuts, leaps in logic, guesswork, acceptance of truths unproven. Reality defies understanding. We use our greatest asset, our intuition, to see the forest without the trees. Overconfidence is a killer. Like a predator evolved to avoid the notice of its prey, the greatest dangers to humanity lurk above and outside of our perception. Reality defies understanding. Yet we try anyways. Intuition is a dangerous thing. Last time, it was Sunday. It remains Sunday. You all got up after having slept in various places around town. I think some of you slept at like the local diner. Some of you did get rooms at the motel. Some of you just slept in your cars, scattered all around the places. And when you awoke and you got food together and you figured out your morning, you decided to investigate the local church. Hallow had chased down a child to that church previously, and the child had disappeared. The child had stolen an image from Hallow, a recent print of an image, the only print he had, which was taken of poor Scott Adams. That's his name. Thank you. Notes. Scott Adams with a weird, like, alien flesh bulge thing on his head. This weird, gray substance. Not human, not natural, something wrong there. This kid took this image and ran with it, and Hallow lost track of him at that church. So you decided, since you had a few hours spare, Billy's not supposed to get captured until this evening at some point after his date with Jane. You decided to go check out the church, see if you could figure out if there's anything weird going on there. Perhaps not what you were hoping to find, but the pastor of the church was giving a sermon that itself seemed a little bit weird. He mentioned a few things about always being watched, about avoiding giving any notice to the whispers in the wind, and all sorts of things like that. He gave a very paranoid sermon, is probably the most concise way to put it. And his followers there at the church, they all just ate it up. It seemed like a pretty normal sermon to them. It didn't seem out of the usual to any of them. They all seemed to very much appreciate it. And so you conversed with a few of them before Hallow, walking around outside and trying to find anything of note, discovered that same child he had seen previously, before you all died and woke up again. And this child recognized you. It took some coaxing, but you eventually got this child to come out of its hiding place. You delivered it to Derringer and the hospital that's full of Delta Green friendlies, and they did a bit of an investigation. You also, during this investigation, noticed that the town sheriff seems to be following you around, Hunter and Hematite. You two are shopping around town for something. I forget what, actually. Was that in our notes?
I didn't take any notes for that.
Yeah, anyways, you guys were looking for something. I would imagine possibly getting like painkillers and stuff in case things happen with Billy again or whatever. I don't remember directly off the top of my head. Unfortunately, it's been a few weeks. Regardless, though, you guys were shopping. You found the sheriff has been somewhat covertly following you around. You've noticed him a couple blocks away, no matter where you go in town. Where were Hallow and High Tide during this? Were you guys just waiting with the kid?
I thought we were going to check
Yeah,
on
we got a
Jane
call
and
from Derringer to find out
That's right.
about the weird stuff.
I think High Tide
You gotta-
is right. You guys are going to check on Jane's family. Didn't find her there. And then on your way back to meet up with everybody, got a call from Derringer. That's right. Thank you. So you got a call from Derringer, and he reported the results of that investigation. And during that call is where we'll pick up, because that's where we left off last time, where the bombshell dropped that this kid appears to be dead. He has no vital signs. There is a large Y-shaped scar across his chest. If you can even really call it a scar, scar doesn't make any sense. It never healed. It is a Y-shaped stitch across his chest and entire torso, apparently post-mortem, and he has no heartbeat. He doesn't appear to be breathing. When they listen to him, there's a sound of a weird rattling, like something small bouncing around inside a glass container. And when they x-rayed him, they indeed found a small bottle which fit the description of the bottle Hallow had been seeing previously. Hallow had said, do you have any Derringer, do you have any information on our past, work with Delta Green? Past cases? No, he did not. And that's where we finished. So, you're still in that call with Derringer. Yeah. I believe you were the one to speak last, so you may continue if you wish, Hallow.
Yeah. How secure is this line for talking about past operations?
Past operations I would not talk about over the phone in general. We can meet up if you need to.
Yeah, we should meet up. Can you come back to town? We need to be here for, Billy and Jane.
Yeah, okay. We can head up there. I'll meet you at the diner.
Yeah, diner works.
All
All right.
click.
Talk to you soon.
He's already hung up.
Yeah. And also, it looks like Hematite was trying to call us.
That's right. Yeah, Hematite hit a busy line, and now that the phone has clicked, probably finally gets through.
Yeah, I think I wanted to call about the police, and then there was something else, but I've forgotten.
Yeah, we tried to call about the police, but we got a busy line. I remember we were both in the vehicle at the time. That's the last that I can remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what the two of you were doing before you were gonna go to the bar where they were last seen.
I don't think it was painkillers, because we just came from a hospital where they have like all the painkillers that we could ever want, I believe. Unless we were trying to get over-the-counter stuff without seeming too suspicious. I don't remember.
I feel like you're going around to a bunch of different stores, and I don't remember exactly why.
Yeah.
Maybe you're trying to find...
Right, because we were noticing that we were being followed from place to place.
Yes, maybe you were trying to find people to talk to, just seeing if like Jane was in one of the stores around town, or if any of Billy's friends were around, things like that. I feel like that rings a bell at least.
Yes.
So I believe some of you had gone to visit Jane, found out she wasn't there, wasn't at her house, and her mother said like, oh, she's just around town or something like that, and you guys went to town. That's sounding vaguely correct to me. I don't know. Thoughts? Are we cool with that interpretation of the past at least? All right. Let's roll with it since it's the best we got. All right, so Hematite, your call goes through. You connect to Hallow.
How close are you to town?
We're on our way back. Probably 20 minutes. I just talked to Derringer. We got to meet up at the diner.
The policeman's from like the end of our dreams is following us around town.
Oh, that's not good. Is he done anything yet? Or is he just following you?
Just following us, but seems that the others might know that we know something.
Probably safe to assume that if, the council is, the fleshy mass again, they're controlling him again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess until he's threatening, we can probably just keep an eye out. Definitely stay safe.
Yeah, just
don't let
wanted
him
to
get-
give you a heads up so that you knew what you were walking into.
Yeah, appreciated. Thank you.
We might
Heads
need
up.
to call Derringer so that he can stay under the radar too.
Well, I think, yeah, all right. We'll relay that. Thanks. Anything else? Because he's got some pretty troublesome information.
Yeah.
We got to meet up and tell him about our first job.
Shit.
Yeah.
You
So
sure?
that's what you're walking into now.
And he absolutely needs to.
The kid's got the kid's even more weird than we thought.
Do we want to talk about this over the phone?
Yeah, High Tide's got a good point. I don't feel comfortable talking about it over this line. Well, it's to do with what I saw on our last job when my brain was getting cooked.
Copy. I think I know what you mean now.
Cool. All right, we'll see you soon.
Yep.
Probably 15 minutes.
All right.
And once the phone hangs up, I would look over at Hallow and say, I don't know if it's just the council, because that police officer was still going after we destroyed him. So I don't know if there's something else going on here.
Well, you mean the other voices, right?
Yeah, the police officer just kept talking about the test is over, the test is over, and he was shooting at us, so something was still controlling him even after the council was gone.
You're right. There's definitely something else here.
Should we call Derringer and tell him to maybe meet us outside of town?
Yeah, there's that diner outside of town that we first met up the first time. Let's reconvene there, actually, specifically.
All right. Let's skip
We'll just pass that
over.
information out, yeah, for brevity.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, for brevity, we'll say you handle some communication back and forth. We see a rapid montage of a few calls, just a bunch of numbers being punched into phones, and we hear phone ringing sounds. And then we cut to your cars pulling into the lot of that diner. The one where we originally saw you guys pull up to discuss a few elements of the case before you even got to this town. There was like a newscaster out front talking about how everyone in that town was crazy and they were sleepwalking and this crazy stuff that, who could believe this? Doesn't make sense. They're probably doing it for attention and yada, yada, yada. Seems people from outside the town don't really believe them, which has been echoed by some people in town when you've tried to press them for information. No newscaster today, though. You all head right in. We'll say you take the exact same table you did before. It's just secluded in a back corner. It's perfect, so there's no one else near it, so you can have a hushed conversation without concern of being directly overheard by people nearby. And it's an odd time of day that you've come in. It's like a 3 p.m. It's not super close to any mealtime. So it's relatively calm in here. There's only a couple other people here who are just chilling, reading a newspaper, drinking some coffee. It appears the amount of staff on hand at the moment is relatively low, but you come in, you take a seat. Derringer's already there waiting for you. He's at that table, and you begin your conversation. So, what's this about your last opera?
Right. So the first opera we attended. Well, where to start exactly? There was a mine that an old man that was taking care of it found a strange rock. He showed us this rock. Shortly after that, started experiencing violent hallucinations.
Hmm.
What I saw was a blue bottle with a marble in it.
The bottle with a marble in it. I see. This is why you mentioned it. Okay.
And I think our first time around, we might have seen some mold that was. Is that what you saw? High tide?
When did my memory cut out?
Um.
Do I
That
remember being microwaved in the mold and everything?
that is a super good question. I don't
It might
remember.
be in my notes. Hang on.
That's a good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you remembered
Need
the
to dig in.
cabin, but nothing after we left the cabin.
That
Yeah.
sounds
that's
vaguely
before these
correct.
notes. Yeah, I think that's correct. Like he didn't remember anything after the cabin.
That's what I thought I remember. I just wanted to check. But yeah, when we were cooking, I saw mold. It was like a bluish green mold. It was very unnatural, and it was on everything.
You seen
In our
any mold
dream
lately?
vision, it showed up on the hotel door with where Jane was.
I see. So, hold on. Your dream vision. You saw this, or was it there? Did you take any samples of it?
Well,
So
we
when I
saw
tried to pick up the bottle, after I realized that I saw it multiple times, it was recurring. After one of them, I picked it up, and as the vision ended, it turned just back into a regular rock. Tried to break it once, nothing happened.
And I think for the mold, there was one time I saw it on a shelf and I touched it and it started moving up my arm. And I'll show my arm to him and do you see any mold now?
No mold, sir.
But it's just kind of suspicious that it's repeating.
So you saw a bottle. He points to Hollow. You saw mold. Did any of the rest of you? Did you see mold? Did you see a bottle? Did this? How's this work?
I had like hallucination. I was in some like really dark woods, and then I wasn't anymore. I didn't really have really the same thing they did, but something was happening with my brain.
Okay, and the rest of you didn't see those. Did you all see different things?
we saw different things, but they were all timed with each other, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Okay.
But on this job, those things we saw that that we were all getting like waves of hallucinations, they've been showing up one at a time. And they've been uncannily relevant to the current mission.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe are we talking multiple layers of dream vision here then? Or was that just a dream
Potentially.
vision before your other dream vision? I don't know.
Best
Anyways,
I can tell, we might have been hallucinating in a premonition.
okay, so let's cut that there. I'll be honest. I'm not an agent like you all. I am a friendly. I've been doing work to organize some resources behind the scenes for you here. This is probably the limit of what I should know on this stuff. You all are much better equipped to handle this unnatural information than I am, but it is good to know that there's some sort of connection between something you saw previously and now, and it seems to also confirm further that the things you were seeing in the past are happening in the future, like when you had that vision from before that's becoming now. This is kind of bending my mind a little bit, but I am I
You're telling
making
me-
any sense?
This has been nothing but mind bending this whole time, man.
Yep.
This is really the best way to describe it.
Yeah, the kid's been having a poor time. I've been having a poor time also.
We
Okay,
all
well,
have.
please. I know it's hard work, but we got to keep together. Let's get this job done. We can clean up our minds afterwards. All right. Priority one: we got to stop the threat. Make sure it doesn't spread any further. Conceal
Hey,
it.
that kid didn't have anything on him, did he?
Have anything? Oh, he had. He was wearing some raggedy, torn clothes. Didn't have anything in his pockets. No.
All right. Just want to be sure.
Oh, one other thing. I didn't want to mention it over the phone. And he pulls a briefcase out from under the table, enters a code on it, pops it open, and hands a like a manila folder over the table towards. We'll say he just hands it over to Hematite. Happens to be across from him. Now, we took a picture of a few things on this kid. We found some symbols. Didn't know if any of you would recognize them.
You've got
I've been
backups
told.
of these, right?
What's up, sorry?
Oh, I would interrupt and say you've got backups of these. Gesturing to the manila folder.
No, those are our only copies. We have been minimizing who has seen these things. The nurse who happened to notice these things, she started not feeling super well a little bit afterwards. We didn't want this to spread any further. We had her take pictures, put them in this envelope. I suggest you all be careful with this. Maybe limit it to one of you who takes a look, see if you recognize it. Which of you has the best chance of recognizing some obscure symbols? I don't even know what it looks like. I didn't get a look. Or if all of you want to take a look, or as many of you want to take a look and take that risk, that's on you. You're all the experts here. But this is sensitive material. We don't want backups of it anywhere. And if I'm being honest, I would suggest you all burn it after you look at it. But that's your choice.
Understood.
Appreciated. I guess thanks, and be ready to be on standby for tonight.
All right. So we still have this business of needing to be extra covert in town. They've got eyes somewhere. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to be a little more down low on the resources I can provide you then. You'll be mostly on your own out there, but of course, give me a call if you need anything. Listen, before I go, I do have consider this an important question to pose early, but not one that needs an answer immediately. What are we going to do with this kid? This kid is a walking time bomb of unnatural information. Any of our medical professionals that have taken a look have needed to take leave, needed to be quarantined. This kid is not good for anyone who interacts with him. I don't think we can send him out into the world. I don't think we can necessarily rehome him. I'm not sure. You're all the experts here. If you can come up with a good solution, I would love a good solution. I just want to pose that question to you.
What do you three think?
Is
I
there
feel like
any
that's
way
kind
to?
of above our pay grade, isn't it?
Yeah, I
I
was
think
gonna say, is
isolation
there
for
any way?
now, and we'll see if it'll resolve itself, because who knows? If we can deal with the root issue, maybe he'll just go back to being dead.
Okay, we'll keep him isolated for now. We'll kick that can down the road a little bit, and just keep it in mind when you're looking at things out there.
Of course.
All right.
Yeah,
I
the
would
same is
also.
true for any of our unknowns in this thing.
Yeah. Yes, High Tide, you were saying?
I was gonna say, if there was a way to give a call to the Delta Green higher ups, maybe they'd want to research the kid a little more. But
It's
isolation is
possible.
good too.
It's possible. We have. I know we have these things called green boxes. I don't think they keep any living things there. Um, we can try to make some contact up the chain. That's the best I can promise.
That works.
Best of luck out there, agents.
Thanks. You too, I guess.
And he will get up, pay for his meal on the way out, and leave you four in the diner.
Did the sheriff follow us into the parking lot?
Give me an alertness check.
Alertness. Do 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 do. Oh,
Yes.
What are we gonna do about the cop, though? Like, if we don't do something about him, isn't he just gonna shoot us again?
Not necessarily. As long as we don't do anything threatening to him. I mean,
Well,
we're
he
gonna
didn't
have to dodge him when we try and pick up Billy or something. But
Yeah, but anything threatening to him could just be doing like any of our investigation stuff. He wasn't acting like a. He, uh, there's more. There's more to him than just him being a cop. The, I really think we have to assume that he's, if he's not, like actually at the top, he's being used by somebody at the very top. I think we really have to assume that, or we're just gonna end up getting shot again.
so what
Just keep
what do you
our eyes
propose we do?
peeled.
we
Yeah.
might split into two groups and have a distraction because he can only follow one group.
High Tide's right.
Enough of us enough to keep Billy from getting disappeared again, and make sure we're the ones who end up with him at the end.
I guess.
Well, either that or we find a way to just lose him somewhere. But I think that should be plan A.
He knows everything around here a lot better than we do. I can promise you that.
Maybe we can lock him in a freezer somewhere.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I didn't really want to say it after the last thing I suggested, kind of along those lines.
Oh, just kind of puts his hand up to the bridge of his nose, like. Well, either way, one of us is gonna have to look at what's in this folder. What's on the kid?
I'll do it if nobody else wants to.
So I assume that failure on the alertness. I didn't see if the
Yeah.
officer was there. Okay.
I mean, you didn't see anything.
Before we even like, so I don't think we should even open it here. We should open that in the car. Maybe not as the driver.
Yeah, probably shouldn't be driving at the time.
So let's get out of here. Regroup in the cars.
Alright, I'm gonna take a deep breath and like grab the edge of the table with like white knuckles as I force myself to stand up. Okay. We can do this.
Right attitude. We can do this.
Grab the coffee
We
that I
have-
just put down and drain the last little bit of dregs at the bottom.
A little bit of grounds in there. Kind of choke on it. F. All right, so out to the car then, and who's looking at it? Hematite?
Sure.
Okay.
I will drive.
So we're doing 2 cars, Hematite and Hunter, and then Hallow and High Tide in the other? Is that the plan? Or are you all just outside at first discussing this? Just outside of the diner? Or like what's the plan here?
I think we should all get in one car, open it up, discuss, and then go.
Were we gonna split up into 2 groups so that the cop can only follow one of us?
Yeah, but I mean, just for like looking at the pictures at first.
All right. So you all pile
makes sense.
into one of the cars that probably not the truck, because I don't know if that has enough seating.
I don't think it has enough space for everybody. Unless we all get in the back bit.
Then you have no privacy.
Sitting in the bed. Or never, let's have a very covert meeting in the bed of this truck.
Yes.
They'll never
Okay.
expect it.
So you pile into, let's say, Hematite's car, and you try to figure out what's in this thing. So Hematite opens it. Everyone else looks away, making sure not to catch a glimpse. Is anyone unable to resist and takes a peek anyways? Let's just
I
make
think
it.
Hallow does.
Okay. You take a peek. So the two of you see Hallow in flashes, but the two of you see pictures of a couple parts of this child's body. Underneath his tongue, on the sole, like on the heel of his foot. And then very small, like inside his left palm, like you realize he hadn't really like shown you the palms of his hands. Really, he kind of kept his hands kind of balled into fists, or he was holding things or whatever, or had them tucked into his clothes or whatever. But now that somebody has gotten a picture of actually his hands splayed open, there's something on his palm as well. All 3 of these locations have what appears to be burned into his flesh, some marks, some symbols. Those of you who've seen it can give me an occult or unnatural or both rolls in order to attempt to recognize them.
Wow, we rolled the same number.
Spooky.
That should count for
10
something.
to 86 your sanity.
Ooh.
Hey.
I can maybe try a natural. It's a really
Yeah.
long shot.
Hey, you never know. Oh no.
That was bad.
It was unnatural.
It was unnatural. Okay. I don't want to do a critical failure for this. I think Hematite, you rolling unnaturalness and getting a failure, a critical failure, nonetheless. You don't know enough to actually recognize or identify this, but you know enough that it looks familiar. It looks familiar to some of the script you saw tucked into the pages of that book you borrowed from the green box, we'll say, somewhat generously. So you know this book was definitely unnatural. This script, therefore, is very likely unnatural and potentially very dangerous if it was something being quarantined away like that. So I'm going to give you a higher sanity loss for having seen this and knowing for sure this is something dangerous you're looking at, even though you can't actually identify it from your current knowledge. Both of you give me sanity checks, please.
Hey.
All right, so Hollow gets away with it. Hematite, you're going to take 1d4. Which could potentially, very likely, trigger a bout of paranoia. I believe that does it.
Close.
Is it 2 or more? Oh,
But
it's more
no.
than 2? Okay.
I am 1 point away from my breaking point.
Yes, but your paranoia is whenever you take 2 or more sanity at once, or is that more than 2?
I'm not sure.
Should be written down in your sheet, unless we didn't write it down in your sheet.
I don't think we wrote it down.
Well, I have
I thought it was like, okay. I don't know.
acute episodes of most of these things happen when you lose a bunch of sanity at once, and some of them are very frequent. Paranoia. Yes, losing 2 or more SAN in any single roll triggers an acute episode of paranoia. Unless your agent finds a way to stifle his or her paranoia, he or she can't trust or rely on anyone. Every event, every disagreement, or source of suspicion is a clue to a conspiracy against the agent. So, you saw this, you know it's dangerous, you know it's tied to something you stole recently, and now you're paranoid about it.
Alright, so what wins? The need to know what it is, or the need to keep it secret?
That's a fair question to pose.
Sorry, what was the question?
The Kimatai was posing a question of her own,
Yeah.
of herself.
Oh, sorry.
Which element of my character stands out here? I'll say maybe you feel like, not to put thoughts into Himatai's head, but just to give some suggestions of ways you could be paranoid about this, right? Do you think Derringer gave this to you knowing you would be the one to look at it, knowing that you stole that one book, and now he's trying to tell you he knows that you stole that one book? Like, there's some connections here, right? Potentially that could lead to some kind of conspiracy.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm going, is like the higher ups at Delta Green want me taken out as a part of this mission.
All right, so how do you respond to this image? Everyone else is waiting to hear your assessment.
I don't know what it does, but I know it's important. It's important enough that we absolutely need to know what it says. And like, she practically shoves it at somebody.
Howell will probably accept the folder, kind of having glanced in already.
All right.
All right, so I didn't know what any of that was, but the kid's got weird marks kind of all over him.
Well, yeah, we already heard that.
I think I would probably like push it under High Tide's gaze to see if he recognizes some of it.
I would be shielding my eyes from it because after finding out that it's occult and unnatural, I don't even have unnatural. It's grayed out for me, so I can't even use it. And my occult is 10, so
you'd have a 0 in unnatural then.
Yeah, I'm looking away.
Somebody needs to figure out what this is. I don't really care who, but please, guys, we gotta figure this out. It's important.
What do you know about it already?
I know it's related to some of the unnatural things I've glanced in a green box already.
Wait, you hang on.
You seen it?
You took something out of a green box?
I went into a green box.
Okay. Well, anyway, didn't know you could do that.
Why didn't I think of that?
That's kind of exactly what he's putting out right now.
I had figured out where a local one was. Just happened to be after a drop and I didn't know it, and there was a book, so I flipped through it and the symbols look astoundingly close to what's in that book, which means either somebody thinks I know too much, or there's some sort of connection with other Delta Green missions that they're missing out on that we need to like connect the dots and take out a larger issue here.
Well, if you've been the one to see them before, can you not identify them?
I know I've seen them before. I didn't get around to figuring out what they were. I just glanced at them.
Okay, so we'll keep our eyes out for another reference to figure out what this is, because if you're the only one of us who's even seen what this is before, and I didn't
Yeah.
recognize what I saw.
If there's any way the other two of you would be willing to take a shot, I think it's important somehow, and it might just save our asses later.
I'm good at real world stuff and not supernatural, so what about you, Hunter?
Yeah, I'm not looking at it. Sorry. I don't know anything about any of this. Me looking at it's not gonna help. If I see something that looks weird that I don't know what it is, I think I'm gonna be pretty certain that it's weird and I don't know what it is.
Shit. Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep this for now. Actually, no, he's right. Anyway, I could use anthropology to try and figure out if it's a language and I can decode it from that angle.
Sure. Anthropology roll works for me.
Please work.
Ooh.
It does look like a language. You see some repeated symbols, some things that look like possible structures, some symbols that are similar to each other but slightly different, maybe indicating, some alternate form of some of the symbols, so on and so forth.
If we try to like just write down the symbols on another like scratch pad, will that? Well, you know what? We don't know that. So Hal will try to just like copy from memory from what he saw. Not necessarily where they were, just like the symbols that he saw to try and like.
I think Hematite would pull out her sketchbook or her journal and sketch them in margins in bits and pieces.
Okay, so
If
yeah,
that makes sense. So, like,
yeah.
for the one on his hand, she'd draw a quarter of it on one page and then turn back a few pages and draw a quarter of it, a quarter of one from a different place, so that, like, only she knows where all the pieces are, but all the pieces are there.
This is how you get the like texts of madness that someone else discovers later and tries to decode and nothing makes sense. I love it. Okay, yeah. So you have the
I'm
proper.
paranoid.
It's perfect. It's exactly what this game is encouraging you to do, and it's perfect. So yeah, so you get these properly encoded, sections that only make sense to you because you know where you put them.
And if you guys are flipping through, if you guys happen to see what's in there, some of it's drawings, some of it's things that look like the Latin, like the alphabet we use, but it's gibberish because it's, well, you wouldn't know it, but she's written everything in Latin and then used a cipher for some of it, and the rest of it's written in Hindi with a cipher. And she's been particularly like intentionally random about switching between the languages and the ciphers. So it just looks like either patterns, like either lots of pretty squiggles and gibberish.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
do any of the original characters look like Chinese, Japanese, or Russian?
The characters in the picture.
The
Well,
ones. I mean, Hallow was also just copying down the individual symbols
Right.
that
Are
he
you
didn't
talking
remember
about
seeing.
in Hematite's journal or in the picture? High Tide.
whoever's just drawing them, so I don't have to look at the picture.
Okay. Yeah. So
Just to
Hollow,
see
are
if I
you?
recognize the characters.
Yeah. Are you using the image as a reference to sketch them over, or are you really just trying to do it from memory?
He's just trying to do it from memory.
Okay. I feel like a roll would be good here, but I don't know what.
I could use criminology.
Hmm.
Mm, He
Maybe I
says
almost feel
suggesting
like
one of
this
his
would be
higher
like
skills.
a good
Yeah.
application of an art skill, but
History, art is a good idea. I don't have good art, but let's roll.
let's just make it one of your stats instead. How about we do like an intelligence?
Yeah.
Just to see how well you remember it, just from photographic memory. Oh, okay, a critical success.
Photographic memory.
So yes, you have the image firmly in your mind, which may not be super comfortable, but you have it firmly in your mind, and you perfectly sketch out a copy of these symbols, not associated with any parts of the body, just like just on a piece of paper, so you have them and you can reference them later. And then High Tide, you wanted to look at that?
Yeah, to see if it's Chinese, Japanese, or Russian.
It does not resemble any of them. No.
Then I am no help.
Okay.
All right.
Give me a sanity roll.
For seeing the copy character? Okay.
Yes.
Ah,
It was 1 point of sanity. From the
Hunter is just
unnatural.
deliberately not going to look.
Yes, that's fair.
He can barely read English, I think, so it's not going to help him.
Same.
Once once she realizes that Hallow isn't using the original documents, she's going to burn them.
All right.
She has a lighter in her purse. She's just gonna page by page set it on fire. The
In the
90s,
car.
so there's an ashtray in the car. And so once it burns down to like where she's worried about burning her fingertips, she'll set it in the ashtray and repeat.
There you go. All right. So that seems like as much progress as you're going to make on that for now without other resources. So you're splitting up. Where to now?
What time of day is it at this point?
I don't remember exactly, so let's say late afternoon.
It's yeah, I believe we ended a couple hours after lunch last time because
Yeah.
we had church this day and then we split
Yeah.
up.
well, you
Yeah,
said
oh,
it was 3 o'clock
I
when we
did.
got to the diner with
I
Derringer.
literally did
Gotcha.
say that. You're right. It is. So
Okay.
we'll say it's 3:30.
All right.
There was a bunker we were talking about last
Yeah.
session.
Country bunker.
Yeah,
That
was I think
High
we
Tide,
were.
let's go get some beer.
Yeah.
Let's go hang out and be barflies for a couple hours.
Should we change out of our suits?
That's a good idea. Obtain casual
an eye on
change of
the-
clothes out of the trunk of my car.
All right.
I think we should keep an eye on the outside of the establishment and also check on. Wait, what's the country bunker near Merle's Shut Eye? Yes, it's a small town. Everything's kind of near.
It is 500 feet down the road.
Okay,
So yeah, pretty near even for a small town.
I would want to find some sort of parking area where I could keep an eye on the exterior of the motel, and also keep an eye on the exterior of the country bunker, prioritizing the bar.
Okay. That sounds good. There's a little bit of a bend in the road, and you could kind of just park your car off to the side. There's like nothing in a certain area there. I can actually just here. Let me. This is a section of the map. I won't give you the full map just because not all of it's completely accurate based on some edits I've made, but this section is relatively accurate. Just to show you the shape of the road in that area. There's like a little bit of a bend, and you could see there's no buildings on the outside of that bend where it connects to like a a route, like a state route going through the area. So you can probably like park your car there on the little connection between the route and the road, and there's some like grass there you could pull off to the side and just kind of hang out and see both. It's not particularly inconspicuous, but it's also not particularly conspicuous either. Unless
Also-
somebody sees you like looking back and forth, clearly keeping watch, then it would be
My
very weird. but-
sedan screams conspiracy theorist. It would not be like
That's true.
too weird to see a conspiracy theorist car on the side of the road.
You've got a
with
pretty
a
good
crazy
cover there.
person scribbling in a notebook.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so you could like put your car there on the outside of the bend there. So that's where Hematite and Hunter are. Is that right? And then High Tide and
Yes.
Hallow going to the bar. Okay.
Yeah, because none of the kids have seen us in this timeline.
I don't believe they have.
That's right. They saw Hunter and Hematite, but not Hallow or High Tide. That's correct.
Yeah, we stayed in our car.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
I
So
briefly
yes.
explain that I wanted to, to Hunter, that I wanted to keep an eye on Merle Shut-Eye, because if things go south, we know Jane's going to end up there at some point.
All right.
Being able to keep an eye on two areas of interest at once was kind of the goal.
If you talk to Hunter about this, he'll kind of like nod and he'll try really hard to like listen to what you're saying, but he's just constantly thinking about how the cop is definitely going to show up and just mag dump us both. And he's just kind of putting his hand he's deliberately trying to not put his hand on his gun, but he's putting his hand like on a place on the seat next to him that he's kind of using as like a comfort point, I guess. Like he's got to grab onto something. He's just very distracted right now.
All right. Does Hematite just note that and continue on? No particular response to it, or do you have a response to that?
She mostly just wanted to make sure. Basically, she's paranoid, so she's assuming everybody else around her is paranoid. So
Which is
she's
accurate here.
So
So
both-
she's over-explaining to make sure that they don't second guess and turn on her.
Yep.
So both of you are extremely paranoid, watching all angles of the street going directly through town, half like wondering if each other are gonna stab you in the back, and watching each other as at the same time, and you have weapons in the car, and it is time moves very slowly for both of you in this car as you keep watch.
Hematite would also probably be making notes in her notebook. Obviously, trying to keep it out of Hunter's field of vision. Noting where the marks that she'd copied down were found in a separate entry.
All right. And just to set the scene here just a little thicker, it is a hot day at the end of summer here. It's like the tail end of summer. It's starting to cool down a little bit, but this is an unusually hot day for the time of year it is. You guys are sitting in this car. You probably have the car off because it's parked. It's getting hotter. You're starting to wonder if the sweat that's dripping down is dripping down your forehead, dripping down all of you, is from the tension and your paranoia, if it's from the heat, if it's from anything. You guys can like hear the sounds of everything around you. Maybe somebody closes a door to their car down the block and both of you jump and look in that direction. And it's just, you're sitting there, you wonder, how long has it been? 10 minutes? It's been 1. It's like just crazy slow. Things are just moving slowly. And then we'll cut from that scene into the bar where Hallow and High Tide are entering. It's pretty empty at, probably around 4 p.m., accounting for the time it took you to drive here on a Sunday. There's a couple people here, but it's they're potentially planning for more people to come in later. But you do see, strangely, a there's a sign put up on the bar itself, like a little folded sign that just kind of stands on the bar, like a like a don't use this part of the bar, go use that part of the bar. This one says no alcohol served on Sundays.
And it's Sunday.
It's Sunday.
Mm.
But you can see there's still some people working here. They're serving other non-alcoholic drinks. They're serving food, and so on and so forth. People are
I would
playing.
turn to
There's a
Hallow.
couple people playing pool, but it's otherwise pretty quiet.
I would turn to Hallow right as we walk in. Well, looks like no beer.
Oh, that's fine. Cola and some pool, then kill some time.
All right. So you both, or all four of you, kill some time until eventually Jane and Billy walk into this place. The place gets a little more crowded over time. You can tell it's not just one of the only places in town with a liquor license in general, but really one of the only places to eat out in general in town. Like, there's the diner. Not everyone wants to eat in a diner all the time, right? And this is bar food. It's, people just they crave the bar food instead of some nice fried things, some burgers, that kind of stuff. So people are all coming out to just have a meal here. Some people are coming here to play some of the games, some, darts or pool or whatever, and just have a night out on the town a little bit, even if they can't actually, drink here. And two of these people eventually are Billy and Jane. But at this point, you two have pretty well blended into the crowd. You're not just two random dudes leaning up against the bar waiting for these two kids to walk in having their date. You're just two people in the crowd at this point. You can see they get a table to themselves, they order some food, and they just have begun their date. What are you two doing?
How many tables are there nearby that are open, that are close to them? Like, not like right next to them, but like, one or two tables away.
One or two tables away does limit the possibilities. I'd say maybe or just one table that's like within a couple tables of them.
That's okay. Are they in like a booth seat or just like a table?
I was kind of picturing like a like a booth seat up against the wall. They're both just on opposite sides of a table with booths for each of them.
Okay. Is there a booth seat open on either end of them?
Sure. We'll say there's one behind Billy.
Okay. I'm kind of motion at High Tide and get his attention and kind of nod over towards where they sat down. And let's get some real food. We've been playing for a little bit. Go sit down.
I would go sit down.
All right, so you two take a seat, you pull up some menus, and we snap back outside to Hematite and Hunter. You two have just seen, finally, your stakeout has given you something. You see Billy and Jane enter the country bunker. At the same time, pretty much obscuring your vision as soon as Billy and Jane are heading into the building, the sheriff's car pulls down the road towards you, slows down as it approaches, and slowly corners into the grass where you guys are and just pulls up behind you, kind of like just does a U-turn in that little section of the road there and just pulls up directly behind you as if he's pulled you over.
He's here. He's right behind us.
Of course he is. We kind of knew this would happen. We're part distraction, part surveillance.
So what do we do?
I roll down the window, or I unbuckle, step out of the car. Is there a problem, officer?
Yeah, you can see he's calling something in on his radio as you exit the car, and then he steps out of the car as well. Says, that's far enough, ma'am. Can I ask you what you're doing parked here on the edge of the road like this? You having trouble? Do you need someone to come get you a tow?
Hit with a writing inspiration and needed to sketch out some notes.
Well, there's a diner down that way.
Too
There's
noisy. Too many people.
well, there are various parking lots around here. You could, are you staying nearby, or are you just passing through?
Town. Have do you know any artists or writers or creatives in your life?
Can't say that I do, ma'am. No.
Well, then you wouldn't understand. Sometimes we just need to be in the environment where inspiration hits, and we need to be left alone to do it. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back to my car and keep writing my journal unless there's
So
something.
so is he an artist too?
He's just a worrywart.
I see. He has. Does he have like reason to be concerned?
I'm staying as still as I can possibly stay.
He takes it into his head that it's not always safe for me to follow where the inspiration leads. So he goes along and sometimes bugs me to move on if it starts getting dark.
Well, I have to say he may be correct. This spot is not a particularly normal spot for a vehicle to be parked. Um,
Breaking
if
any
you
rules?
you're not breaking any rules specifically, although I would say parking on the grass here next to the road is a bit of bad form. We do try to take care of that. Um, there wasn't less than 100 feet away. There's some parking lots you could park in instead. So I would say it's no rules are being broken. I'm just kindly asking you to perhaps move your vehicle. It's people are passing by. They're looking at you. They're thinking this is strange for you to be parked here. It's just a very minor thing, but if you wouldn't mind it, it would be much appreciated.
You're the first one I've seen passing by, but if you're so sure, I'll always obey an officer of the law.
Thank you for your cooperation. I know, strange request, but like I said, this is not really a usual spot for a vehicle to be parked. So thank you. I hope you find one of the many other places in our town you can just settle down and follow your inspiration or whatever.
See, I mean, the moment's clearly been ruined, but hopefully this town's aura will inspire me again.
I hope it does. He
I
seems to not quite be following you.
am going to get in the car, pull out aggressively, probably leaving tire tracks because I'm in a hurry to leave
hmm
and kind of pissed, so I'm not going to be gentle about it.
hmm
And then I am going to park in the parking lot for the country bunker.
Okay, so you pull down that way and just pull in and wait there.
Yeah.
We'll snap back
Probably-
inside. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd choose a corner where I have as much of a view towards downtown as possible.
Okay, you definitely don't get a view of it just because it's around a bend with like trees and other buildings in the way, but you're looking down that road at least potentially. And then we'll snap back inside to High Tide and Hallow. You guys have taken a seat, you've put in your orders, and are you just trying to eavesdrop here? Is that the plan, or are you trying to blend in? What are you doing?
Kind of trying to eavesdrop without being too obvious about it. Like just kind of like sitting, making small talk with High Tide. I don't know, say about the road trip that we're on.
I would be on whatever side of the booth faces the door and just keeping an eye out on the characters in the bar to see if there's anyone acting off.
Okay.
While listening and having
Yeah.
a conversation with Hallow to make it look normal.
Yeah, makes sense. This might sound a little weird, but I actually think HUMINT might be able to apply to both of these things. Because it's not just like recognizing patterns in behavior and stuff. It can also be like a little bit of manipulation in conversation and things like that. It's generally a skill about trying to gain information from humans and all of the different ways that can apply. And I think that's what you're doing here. You're trying to gather information from people, and that involves, in this case, doing a bit of eavesdropping and that kind of like. That's my interpretation of it,
me.
at least.
Well, it went
I
poorly.
mean, doesn't involve any of that.
Yeah, so perhaps it just gets a little loud in here. You're trying to pick out pieces of the conversation, but there's a game of pool happening a couple tables away, is like right where the pool tables start, and just every time it seems like they're saying something behind you, there's another clatter of pool balls, people cheering when somebody gets a bullseye on darts across the place. Just various clinking of silverware and plates and glasses and things all around the place. It's very hard to hear in here, and Billy and Jane aren't being particularly loud about their conversation. The very few words you do hear are quite hushed, and you barely make them out, and they're nothing particularly special. Like you only gather simple words. You don't hear any words that jump out to you as like something related to your case, right? Just
I'm
talking about
pregnant
their
with an
days or
alien
whatever.
baby.
Exactly, nothing like that. So yeah, you're not really hearing anything in here. If you want to eavesdrop on them, you might need, or you want to get information from them in general, you might need a different strategy here. But yeah, or I know part of the plan here was potentially to protect them from whatever happens afterwards. So I don't want to emphasize the information gathering too much, but if you want to go for the information gathering, absolutely go for it more. I just wanted to point out that I made it sound like information gathering was the focus here, when technically it wasn't.
Yeah, I will definitely. I know I'm not good at it right now, but try to be keeping an eye out for any suspicious characters. But
Okay, give me an alertness check then.
alertness. I don't think I've rolled lower than an 80 today.
The rolls have been really bad today so far,
This is
Yeah, they've all been very high.
aside from critical success shortly ago, but there have been several critical failures.
I think you've had like 2/3 bad rolls and 1/3 good rolls. It's definitely skewed. So even the good rolls were barely successes, to be fair. But okay,
Can
so
Hunter and I also roll alertness for the outside of the building at some point?
sure, yeah, just
Doesn't need to be now, but just putting that out there.
yeah. Actually, how about you just both give me your alertness scores?
64.
21.
All right. So you two are keeping an eye out with those scores outside. But back to Hollow and High Tide. You guys are keeping an eye out here. Are you just letting time pass until it looks like Billy and Jane are leaving, or are you going to do anything in the meantime?
I think the idea is just kind of stick close and make sure that they don't leave without us noticing.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely get up at least once or twice and try to like talk to the bartender and say like, "Oh, hey, I'm new to town. Like, what is there fun to do? Is there like some sightseeing or fun place outside of here?"
Around town, I know most of the kids, they go to the reservoir. I guess that might be the most fun thing we have. I don't know. There's a video store down the street. You could rent a video. If you've got a room in the motel, they've got VCR players.
Oh, I might be. I'll check that out. Thank you.
Otherwise, we got games here. I saw you playing earlier. I assume you want something else, but yeah. You fan of taxidermy?
Haven't thought much into it, but I could take a
Well,
look.
there's a taxidermy shop down that ways, a few blocks.
Yeah, I know it's kind
something
of
to look
weird.
at.
It's out of the way, but I just kind of wanted something that was away from the city, more
Yeah,
rural.
yeah, of course.
Been
Um,
missing the trees.
I'll be honest. I think most of the people here, if they want some bigger fun, but they go to one of the nearby cities. Um, People here just like to live quietly.
That's not always the worst thing.
Uh, he does not agree or disagree with you. Just kind of acknowledges.
Yeah, and then I would just go back and sit at the table because great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be like, so, any fun sights to see in town, bud?
Yo, you want to see some taxidermy? They got
Oh,
that.
they got taxidermy. Wow. Entire stuffed dead animals.
All right. So you guys wait and you just pass some time, try to blend in. Um, hmm. I think you
I
guys try
guess
to
try
blend
and give.
in. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, if we can try and listen in another time, after being here for a little bit.
Yeah, I think I was going the opposite direction there, unfortunately,
Oh no,
because you got a critical failure and we haven't really resolved that yet. So
no.
um, I think at some point, maybe you're just trying to get a better listen or something like that, and you maybe lean out just a little bit, trying to like lean around the edge of the seat that you're sitting on, just to try and get an ear back towards Jane and Billy, and you know as you're leaning that way and just kind of craning your neck and trying to do something, you just hear excuse me, what the fuck? Somebody, and you turn around a little bit and you can see Billy is getting up out of his chair because Jane is pointing at you and he says, hey man, we got a problem here? What's going on? You dropped something?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I have a problem sometimes. I start listening to things around me too hard. I'll find somewhere else to be in here. I'm real sorry.
Okay man, that's kind of creepy. You shouldn't do that.
You're telling me.
Okay.
Can
Yeah,
this be
yeah,
right as
you,
I'm
as you're coming back from the bar, is that what you're saying? Or
Yeah, I was like, could this be right as I'm getting back to the bar and I just kind of like push him and it's like, come on, we're supposed to be on vacation.
Look, I'm sorry. Look, I'm.
yeah, I think
They look like they were just having just such a fun time.
no, I think what you suggested, to just go find another spot, that would be for the best. Thank you. They both just kind of look at you with like concern.
All right, I'm trying to find another spot in the bar.
All right, so you guys find another spot, and otherwise, Billy and Jane don't pay much attention, but they've now seen both of your faces at the very least, and they think of you as somebody creepy who is trying to listen in on them, even if it was accidental or we do not, whatever. Whatever the case, they have a negative association with your face now. And otherwise, nothing eventful happens here in the bar. You just had to move a little farther away. You lost your chance at pressing them for any other information. But they do eventually leave. It appears that Billy is quite agitated as they leave. It doesn't look like at any point during the night they got into like a fight or were arguing about anything. It just looks like Billy's sort of off. Like he's upset about something, but he's not really talking about it or something like that. And Jane just seems kind of concerned. So they leave. They're kind of having some sort of sour mood at the moment. As they leave the building, do you follow
I
them out
mean,
immediately? Are you gonna wait a little bit?
I
that
think.
was kind of how he was acting at the reservoir the other night, right?
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think we follow out immediately. We'll wait, a minute or two.
Okay.
Because the other two are out there also on watch. If
Yeah,
they're not
so
nearby when we leave the building,
yeah, Hematite and Hunter, you see the two of them leave the building and get into a truck. And then about a minute later, well, I guess, do you immediately follow them when they just pull out in that truck, or like they go down the road a little bit, then you follow them, or?
Probably the second one.
Okay. You wait for just a second,
Yeah.
let them get
So,
down the road a little bit. Sorry, go ahead.
Hunter is feeling still very, very shaken up. So, I don't know. He'll like he can follow, but I think if there's any like roles he has to do in the very near future, he should be at a penalty for that.
Oh,
His
yeah,
head
that's
is
fair.
very not in this right now.
I think you were just a passenger in Hematite's car, anyways, but potentially we can get to that. I appreciate that
Gotcha.
Hunter is shaken, though. That is noted. So if it comes to Hunter making some rolls, we can definitely bring that up. So
That
Hematite, you give him a
explains why
second.
Hematate's not as afraid of the police person. She died in the fire first.
That's true.
Yeah.
This was their first time seeing him.
I think High Tide and Hunter were the only two that saw the police officer because Hallow just like got
Well,
out and
yeah, he
passed
just
out.
passed out. He fell
Probably got a
over.
very brief glimpse, saw a cop in a kind of blurry vision, and then fell over.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hallow and High Tide, if you guys are being a little discreet with your leaving, you're probably going to miss them leave, but you can get outside and see their car going down the road by the time you get out, because they kind of left the building, and since Billy was kind of agitated, they just got right in their car, got it started driving. But you saw them leave, you saw the direction they were headed, you might be able to catch up. In the meantime, you probably also see Hematite and Hunter's car in pursuit already. So you can probably just follow them or something too. But
Make a quick call
Are-
to Derringer, just let them know they're on the move and
all right.
start to follow.
So are both vehicles just following at a somewhat discreet distance and just seeing where they go?
I think Hallow would try to follow, but from like a street away, as long as they're like, oh no, I see the street is like just one street, huh? I was thinking like parallel streets, not be just two cars in
Yeah.
a row behind them.
So they are heading out of town as well, towards like the farm areas where the roads get even more sparse.
Okay. Well, in that case, he's following behind. He's falling far enough behind that it's really mostly just Hematite's lights behind him, in front of him.
Okay.
And how dark is it right now?
Yeah, you guys were probably hanging out in this place for several hours. I think we had established previously that Billy and Jaden left the bar around 9 p.m. So I think that's what we're gonna say. The sun's already down at this point, I think, for this time of year. It should be not like pitch dark yet, but it's very, very dark at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would stay far enough behind that I can see their taillights unless they're running with lights off, in which case that's its own problem.
Okay. So yeah, they keep their lights on. They're just driving normally. But for the vehicles, yes.
Yeah,
So
I'd be following the lights, not the car. That makes
okay.
sense.
So Hematite's driving one vehicle. Who's driving the other?
Hallow's driving the other.
Okay. Out of the two of you, who has the worst drive skill? So I think trying to stealthily follow behind someone, this is a case where having more cars involved makes it harder. And this means that we choose the worst skill amongst everyone involved to
Mine
make
is
the roll.
50.
Mine is 20.
All right. So Hematite, this makes extra sense because Hematite's car is in the lead here. Give me a drive roll and we'll see how you do. That is nice, but not nice at the same time.
House rule, critical success.
That is a house rule that's floating out there, but not at this table, sadly.
Oh well.
Oh well. Here's how I'll interpret this. I don't think they like notice you behind them, but at a certain point, you're following behind them, and you've been out to a couple of these houses before. All of you have. They're heading out into the directions of their homes. These farms that are out in sort of a middle of nowhere out here. And there's really not that many possible destinations down some of these roads, and a lot of them just end in dead ends. You turn around and you go back. And the only reason you'd be going down these roads is if you're headed home to one of these farms or to visit one of these farms down here. So it's getting more and more suspicious the direction you're headed in. So I'm going to give you a choice here. You can keep following them, and they will almost definitely notice they're being followed at this point, or be extremely suspicious of it. Or you can back off if you want to be more discreet.
Is there anyone else around them?
Any other vehicles?
Yeah.
No, it's just your two cars following them, which makes it even more suspicious.
Okay. Do I know if there's any other way to get to their house? Either of them?
I don't think there is. The way I'm picturing this area with the roads is sort of like just these branching roads that all just kind of connect back together. It's not like there's loops in the roads anywhere. It's like, this road over here is named the it's named like Spivey Road because it's the driveway of the Spivey family, right? Things like that. Like, it's just extremely rural at this point. That kind of vibe. So I mean, you could park somewhere else and trek through the woods and fields and things more stealthily. You're not going to be able to keep up with the vehicle that way, but if you would guess where they're going, I don't know. There's options. I just want to let you know. The choice first here is deciding whether or not you want to keep following them, even though they'll definitely catch on that you're following them, because down this road there's only 3 houses. Why are 2 cars following us at this time of night coincidentally? Yeah.
Going
Or
to Jane's house or Billy's house first?
this seems like it's headed toward Jane's house, I will say that.
Okay. I will slow down. And give the other car a call.
Okay, so let's just establish in slightly more detail here. Perhaps instead of turning down the road that would lead you in the direction of Jane's place, you see them turn down that road, and you avoid turning after them to avoid the suspicion of turning down like the small, mostly private road. And you kind of pull off to the side after they've pulled off into that road. So it's not like you were chasing them down a private, mostly private road, and then slowed down or anything. You just didn't even go down the road that probably leads to Jane's place. Yeah, it leads to Jane's place or 3 other houses you've not been to, and why would they be headed there right now, right? So, and so you slow down, give the other car a call.
So yeah, I would call the others and ask them to pull off and turn their lights off, stay on the phone, and let me know if Billy comes back that way towards his house alone. Basically, having both sides of the driveway covered. If that makes any sense.
It does, yeah. So you guys station your cars around this small dirt road, lights off so you could see anybody who was either entering or exiting that place. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I will stall my car on purpose.
Okay.
And do a very bad job of getting it back going.
Okay, so just seeming like you messed it up and you're trying to.
Wait, you want me to take a look at it?
No, this is our cover.
Oh, okay.
I'm a hippie. I don't know much about cars. I genuinely don't. All I know is how to stall it when I need to.
I get what you're saying, yeah. That's a good idea.
So I put my flashers on and just like repeatedly try revving the car, but like messing up the clutch every single time.
All right.
Rowan's going through some mental strain as he hears the border mechanical systems being actively, deliberately tortured.
F. That sounds just on the border of a sanity check, but not quite there.
So Hallow and High Tide are then watching for Billy going down his road then.
So the both kids left in one car and they headed towards Jane's place. Not long after. You guys aren't there for very long. Maybe 15 minutes or so pass, and then Billy's truck comes back down the road, headed back onto the road you guys are currently parked on the side of.
Coming the direction that my car's on, or the direction that the other car's on with no lights?
We'll say he pulls out onto the road. He sees you parked on the side there. You know, he sees the headlights kind of flicker as you try to get your engine started and stuff. And he just kind of pulls out around your vehicle, seems to kind of ignore you, and then just drives off, continuing out of town.
What a jerk.
Assuming I stayed on the car phone with the others, I would tell them to follow slowly. And then I would turn to Hunter and say, "Hey, can you help me get this on? I actually don't know how to do this."
I'll
Is
assume
Hunter in a
that.
capacity to respond?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was distracted by something. Can you please repeat that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Assuming I stayed on the call with the others like I planned, I told them where he was going and asked them to follow. And then I turned to you and said, "I don't actually know how to start my car again."
Oh. Okay, I'll take a look at it.
All right.
In the future, maybe don't. Well, I guess I was here, but maybe don't do this unless you know how to do it yourself. I don't know. Something will
some helpful person to do it, and I knew it would work for keeping suspicion off of us.
Do we have a flashlight in the back here?
Probably.
I have a pen light in my purse.
Okay. I'll grab it and clamber out and pop
You
the
have a
hood and
flamethrower
get
in
to
your
work.
truck.
Ooh.
In a wooden box full of hay and stuff, just letting it sit in there.
May not be the best tool for illumination.
May not
right
be,
now,
but you have it.
It's good to know that we have it.
Glad the cop didn't see it.
You just saw a crate back there. He didn't check. Although I guess you're not in your truck right now. You're in Hematite's car, actually.
That's true. Yes.
So the cop may be finding your flamethrower somewhere else.
Oh no!
But at the moment, you guys have just left a whole bunch of deadly weaponry sitting out in the back of an open, unsecured truck in the parking lot of a motel.
Hell yeah!
While the rest of you drive around at night.
Safety.
Delta
They'll
Green.
Never expect it.
Okay, so we'll just say you guys we'll zoom the camera out as we see a flashlight click on and pan the camera back over to catch up with Hallow and High Tide's vehicle, which is now pursuing Billy's vehicle. And you guys can see at this point it's getting to be almost 10 p.m. It took a little ways to get out of town. It took a little bit of time to get out of town. Then he stayed at Jane's place for a few minutes, probably dropping her off. Now he's driving out of town. It's getting somewhat late. And you can see on this like state route, it's probably speed limit 50 or so. And Billy sticks that for a little bit as you're following him. And then he just starts to slowly accelerate. It's not like an immediate kickoff, like he's trying to escape or anything. It just is like he's going 60. Now he's going 70, 75, 80, 85. Holds at 85 for a few seconds, goes up to 90. He's going faster and faster, and then he'll like slam on the brakes when he gets any kind of turn. goes around the turn, accelerates again. It just seems like he's starting to drive pretty recklessly.
But we're still managing to keep pace enough that like he's within eyesight because of having to slow down for the curves and things.
There are plenty of curves here, so yeah, he'll accelerate very briefly, have to slam on the brakes and stuff like that. But he is getting away from you fairly quickly. Yes.
Okay.
Unless you want to keep
Is it
up with him,
obvious
but
what direction he's going? And is he going towards his house or is he going somewhere else?
you would know at this point he has passed his house and he's just headed out of town somewhere.
All right, he'll call Hematite and let her know that, hey, Billy's heading out of town. He's not even heading toward his house anymore. We're in pursuit, but he's driving really fast.
And I mean, from what I remember about Billy, the last thing he recalled when we talked to him in the hospital was being at the country bunker with Jane, so he might not even know what's happening right now.
That's true. We gotta stay on his tail. I hope you two can find a way to catch up. I'm gonna call Derringer next. If you two are good.
We're lucky he just gets into a car crash and we can be the ones to help him out. Doubt we'll be lucky, but don't get into a car crash yourselves. We'll catch up as we can.
All right.
So you guys follow
I gotta
behind him.
focus on driving.
Yeah, Hallow, give me a drive roll to try and keep up with him. But again, at this point, like if you're keeping up with him here, he's knowing you're also driving recklessly. So this is your choice here. You can either back off and be more discreet and drive a little bit more normally, or you can attempt to keep up with him. And doing so will definitely give away that you're following him, because why else would you be following his reckless driving?
I mean, I don't want to lose him either, is the thing.
Yeah, so it's kind of a hard choice here, but you got to pick one, I think.
All right, I'm gonna stay on his tail. Because
All right.
we are determined to either find out what happens or happened to him, or just take him into custody and prevent it from happening. Right?
All right.
That's the mission.
So you got a success. So you do keep up with them. You manage to accelerate. You slam on the brakes to make sure you're not going so fast you'll fly around the turns. And it's tricky. These state routes up here in this part of the state, they are a bit bendy. They're a bit wobbly. And it's not easy driving. And plenty of times he doesn't even get up to those same speeds I mentioned earlier, only on the really long straight parts, which are fairly rare. But you do manage to keep up, and eventually, it's not like he goes to another town over or anything like that. This only happens for a few minutes, but it appears he grows tired of this, whatever it is, and he very quickly slows down, pulls off down a road that appears to be just like a random driveway. It appears to be leading towards a farm. You can see a field of just crops. Hard to tell what kind of crops, but they're tall, maybe corn. And he pulls off in that direction, pulls his car into like off the side of the dirt road and kind of into the field a little bit. Doesn't like drive directly into the field, but kind of clips it a little bit as he stops the car, just knocking over a few of the crops, gets out and just runs into the crops.
Yeah.
High Tide, you want to chase him? Because I don't know if I want to drive directly into the crops. Fuck, this is more of Hunter's truck steal.
Did it seem like he took the keys to his truck with him, or just kind of put it in park and ran out the door?
He took the keys to his truck with him. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't. So I guess to be clear about the running thing, it doesn't necessarily look like he's running from you. It more looks like he is just full of emotion right now. And so he stopped the car. He stopped it really abruptly. He like maybe you could see him just barely as he's parked there in the little bits of light that remain from his headlights bouncing off the crops nearby and entering the cabin of his vehicle. He like slams on his steering wheel, not actually honking or anything. Takes the keys out of his car, like slams his door hard when he gets out, and then just like He's not like running like at a sprint. It's almost more like really fast stomping into the crops.
Oh, okay, that's far less concerning.
Yes,
They're
yeah,
more
sorry.
like
Better
controlled
description.
mad dash. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think just kind of continue on for a little bit to make it look like, I don't know, maybe it was just another reckless driver. Continue on for a little bit past, where he had pulled off.
Okay.
Slow down and kind of turn lights off and creep back that way to, keep an eye.
So you get back there around the same time Hematite does, then we'll say. As you pull a bit of a stealthy maneuver, Hematite has trouble getting her car started, and you both arrive at around the same time. So you can see this car pulled off to the side. You can see the crops very slightly parted where Billy clearly like stomped into them. Yeah. When you get out of your car, yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask if we could see movement like where Billy was currently moving through the field.
Oh, well, something you notice first. I'll say from your cars, you don't notice any movement. It's just he's too deep within the crops at this point. But you do hear once you open your car doors, just these like really angry screams, like someone just letting out some emotion they've been bottling up for a long time. You just hear Billy you imagine him like kneeling in the crops somewhere, just screaming at this guy, just letting it out somewhere he thinks is quiet enough. No one's gonna come find him here. Maybe this local farmer gets a bit of a fright, but he doesn't give a fuck right now. He's just gonna go back to his car later. Clearly he has lost his last fuck to give and is just pouring out his emotions into nature here, or the closest thing he found. I get an alertness roll from everybody.
Yeah.
That's okay. We can do one of those.
Can you triple check alertness? Because I failed it 3 times tonight.
Well, hey, at least Hunter's paranoia is paying off, right?
It is. The rest of you are very concerned with the sounds Billy is making right now. You're trying to pinpoint where he is. Maybe you're trying to look into the crops to see if you can find a better angle to just run in there after him or something. Trying to scan the area for anyone who might be around or who might be hearing these sounds. But Hunter has a little bit of a different instinct here. Hunter maybe already scanned the area as you approached, just being very paranoid. And now that you're here, you imagine these screams Billy is shouting up to the sky, and you just look up to the sky yourself. And one of the stars is moving. Not in a straight line, kind of moving around.
They're back. Just point with a shaking arm up into the sky. They're coming again. It's gonna be just like it was before.
I will sprint towards Billy.
And Hallow will follow.
You guys are, yes,
just
running
start yelling at him
into the crops, yelling after Billy as he's screaming back at you. And once you start yelling towards him, his screams stop. He realizes, somebody is shouting at him. There's some confusion, and he just kind of stops still entirely. Everyone who's trying to sprint into the crops, please give me an, I believe there's an athletics skill. I think this would be the most applicable here. Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Sheesh.
So is the athletic skill for if you're just trying to bolt towards him, or if you're like kind of jaunting over?
If you're trying to make it there extremely swiftly, an athletics check, yeah. If you're not, if you're just kind of heading in that direction and letting the others sprint ahead, no rolls required. But you're definitely going to get there slower.
Works for me.
Okay. So effectively you'd be taking like a failure, but not a critical failure. Avoiding the chance of that. And is...
I'll roll athletics. Oh.
Okay. So you'll sprint over as well. And Hunter, are you running over, or are you just kind of frozen in fear?
I'm whipping out the pistol that I had previously taken, and I'm just pointing it in the sky. And the moment that I hallucinate a shape large enough that I think it's a big old alien flying saucer coming down for me, I'm just gonna mag dump into the sky.
All right. So, you guys are running into these crops. Hallow, especially, was just already a bit pumped up on adrenaline from driving recklessly over here and managing to stay alive during it. And then Billy rushing out into the field. You just charge after him. You feel these crops just get knocked out of the way by your body. You're trampling them underfoot. You're not letting a single footstep be misplaced as you dash directly towards where you heard those screams before, screaming out to Billy, trying to get his attention. You find him kneeling there, looking up into the sky, and just as you arrive, just as you're within about 10 feet of him, all of you feel that intense pain in your head that you felt during your first opera. Everybody give me a sanity check, please.
Oh no.
This is fitting.
Hang on, I gotta roll. This typing. Ooh.
All good? Okay.
Nice.
All of you
Also,
who failed...
That tracks. Hallow is not good at getting cooked.
Yes, and it tracks that Hunter is extremely scared by this. All of you who failed...
is okay with it.
Yes. All of you who failed take 1 sanity damage, even on a critical failure. There's no extra penalty here. From the unnatural. Just from feeling that feeling once again. And you see this entire field and the trees nearby get painted in that rainbow swirling light. It starts purple, and then there are other colors mixed in as, even every foot of space around you gets painted in a different color. As sort of just everything gets muddled together in this weird rainbow mess. It's not like a straight lines rainbow, it's like just soup. Swirling. But now you can see a little bit more clearly. You can see Billy staring up at this thing, terrified, his mouth open, his eyes unblinking as he looks up at this octahedron in the air that is just suddenly there. No sound accompanied it. It didn't fade in. Nothing like that. It's there. It wasn't there a moment ago. Those of you who succeeded...
From before?
Yes, very similar octahedron from before. Hard to tell if it's the exact same one, but I mean, it looks like the same deal. But it's the same substance, right? It's the same shape. Yes. Just perfectly still, hovering in the air over this field. Now, those of you who succeeded on sprinting there, which I believe is everyone succeeded on sprinting over there. It was just that Hallow got there first.
Yeah.
And
Failed
then
the athletics roll.
I don't think
Hunter
Hunter's
didn't
Hunter's
run.
even there, actually.
Yeah, Hunter didn't even run.
Succeeded.
Yeah, but everyone else succeeded
Sapphire
the
did.
athletics. I'm sorry, Sapphire is a little behind, but High Tide and Hallow, you two have made it there. High Tide a little bit shorter, a little bit farther behind than Hallow. Hematite still on the way, Hunter all the way back at the cars. So I'm going to give a quick chance to you two who made it there. Hallow and High Tide. Do you want to do anything in this split moment where this thing started hovering over you, directly over Billy? You've got a moment to act
Tackle Billy out of the way from right below it, and just
Okay.
rush off into the corn and try to make the way back to the cars.
Okay. High Tide, what are you doing? Similar deal? You're just trying to get him out of the way?
I feel like I'm a little confused right now because I've never seen this before.
True. You've never seen this before.
But I will attempt to be helping Hallow.
Okay. So you two just rush towards him. I need another set of athletics checks here. So Billy's a big dude. He's going to be hard to tackle out of the way. Okay.
Oh, good job, Hallow.
Hallow is
I'm
on it
too in
tonight.
awe of the pretty lights. Ooh.
Say,
That adrenaline
High Tide.
spike from getting microwaved.
Yeah, High Tide gets tripped up a little bit, but it's okay because Hollow was already ahead. He was in the lead here, and he just tackles Billy off to the side. Only a moment later, and you have to sort of stop yourself in your tracks, High Tide. A beam of light streams down from this octahedron into the crops below, just hitting the ground like a spotlight has been opened on the ground, but it's that same rainbow light pouring down. It doesn't even make sense. You're seeing this light project through the air, and even on the air itself is projected this rainbow swirly mess. That doesn't obey any laws of physics you're aware of. There shouldn't be enough dust there for it to project that way, and if it's being projected from a single source, it should all be fairly uniform from the top down, but it's not. So I need everybody who's in the fields, so this avoids Hunter, to give me another sanity check.
I feel like this is fitting, and I've probably turned my flashlight on at this point,
Hallow
and I'm just
is
like
cooking.
clutching it in my hand.
1 sanity from those who failed.
Not my breaking point.
Okay, we'll handle that later. Hallow, you still have your right mind about you. Billy does not. He is frozen. He is shaking. He's just kind of pointing up at that thing. He doesn't even seem to mind that you've tackled him off to the side. He is preoccupied right now. But he is a big dude. He's hard for you to drag out of the way, but you manage it. You've gotten him out of the way of this beam of light. And the beam of light vanishes. The octahedron vanishes. And it's just back to all of you in the field. Billy's just shaking, just pointing up at the sky.
Yeah, bud, that's what we're here for. Sorry about the weirdness before.
Wait, it's you?
It's not us. We're here to make sure that didn't happen.
It's you from the bar.
Yep. And my 2 friends you met at the reservoir.
That's why we were listening, Billy.
We knew that something was going to happen tonight. We were trying to keep you safe.
I think at this point, Hematite probably rushed in, afraid as she's about to go into paranoia.
Wait, you too. Billy just breaks down crying at this point. He is completely overwhelmed. He doesn't know what the fuck just happened. He is extremely confused and stressed out. And yeah, so he just breaks down crying, continues to shake. He's just pointing all around, confused at all of you.
Can someone get him some water? Here,
Hematite
Billy.
probably
You want to go back to the cars? You want to get some water?
I think Hematite would have one in her giant purse because she's been keeping painkillers and snacks in there just in case.
Hell yeah. So Billy doesn't respond verbally, but as you guys lead him back to the car, he will like stand when you try to get him to stand, and he'll walk if you try to get him to walk. He'll drink if you try to feed him. Try to give him some water. He will eat. He will drink. He slowly starts to calm down, but he doesn't respond to any of your questions. Otherwise, it seems he's just kind of following instructions at the moment.
All right. Well, let's take him. Well, yeah, we'll just get him in the car and we'll We'll take him to the diner outside town and call Derringer.
Hospital?
He hasn't been abducted yet, but hospital's probably a good idea, yeah.
At least he's in shock, and maybe they can.
I believe
Get
he
one
has
of our
been
doctors.
abducted. He had a sleepwalking event already.
Oh, that's right.
And
So
Jane
yeah.
is already pregnant with the child.
Hospital it is.
All right. So we'll pick up from there next time as you guys bring him to the hospital. The camera pans out as you're packing up the cars and driving south. But you guys did earn one thing tonight. You all prevented a tragedy. You all prevented something you knew would happen, and you stopped a threat. A threat that not only affected Billy's life, but the lives of people around him. He has killed people, several people. You've stopped the chain of events for now. But in all of your agents' heads, you've stopped the chain of events. You guys were heroes today. You actually solved something. You're not just covering up the incursion. You're not just, doing bad things that are preventing worse things. Today you did something good. And so much like when you defeated the orb of flesh in the building, you guys are going to restore some sanity. So everybody can roll 1d6. You'll get that many sanity points back.
Does this happen before or after I have my mental breakdown?
I think it will happen after, sadly, but you'll be farther away from your next breakdown.
Okay, so I should reset? Assume I'm in a paranoia episode.
Reset, assume you're in a paranoia episode, and then add your d6, yeah.
I'll add that
So,
as a note on the board, just so we can remember.
Thank you.
Hunter's whole involvement with that was screaming in terror and shooting his gun into the sky, and he wasn't really part of the, saving Billy, so maybe he shouldn't get any sanity back?
That's fair, if that's your own interpretation of the character.
I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Just kind of giving into the insanity and just shooting at the sky.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think if Hunter specifically doesn't feel like he contributed, I think Hunter did contribute, but if Hunter doesn't feel that way, then it makes sense for him not to gain sanity. I agree, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely does not feel like he contributed.
Okay, so we'll go with that then. Very fair, very fair. So Hunter sinks deeper into madness.
Yeah, poor guy.
Let's go. Poor guy.
It's funny. I gained the exact amount of sanity that I lost today, so it's just
Hey.
like net neutral.
Perfect.
Same, actually. Except
So-
I have a lower breaking point.
Since we have just a couple minutes left, we could figure out what that breaking point means. So this was definitely an unnatural source. So we've got. Do you already have listed what's affecting you? Because we should be writing that down.
Just paranoia.
Just paranoia so far. You've had one breaking point. Okay, so we should definitely write down paranoia there. Oh yes, I see. You have one disorder, paranoia. Okay, cool.
Don't you have a sleeping disorder too? Or no, that's the other two.
I've got one.
Yeah, I think hematitis. Well, we can calculate it. Your original power was 12, so you would have had a breaking point at 48, and then a breaking point at 36, right?
My most recent one was 35, and that was the one I crossed today.
Okay, so I think you would. Okay, so yes, you had one breaking point previously, which was paranoia. So now you've got a new one at 35. Yes, okay. So excellent. So all you've had is paranoia so far. Now I get to pick a new one. Related to the unnatural are depression. You already have paranoia, sleep disorder, dissociative identity disorder, amnesia, depersonalization disorder, Hughes megalomania. And I can jump into any of those if you need more descriptions, but there's a good top
I
level.
think paranoia and a sleep disorder would be a pretty nice recipe for disaster.
It's an extreme recipe for disaster. Yeah, we've seen how bad the sleep disorder can go on long operas like this.
I was gonna say the not trusting people could do the dissociative or the other one, but if yeah,
Once
I
one of you
think
gets to low sanity, I hope somebody takes megalomania, just because that would be amazing. But it doesn't make sense as a super early one for sure.
think right now she is all about control.
Yeah. Okay. I
She
do agree
is
that. Sorry.
withdrawing in on herself and not letting herself sleep because they could come for her in her sleep.
Mm.
She is trying to control every minute detail of her life right now.
Makes sense. Yeah, I agree that paranoia leading into sleep disorder, as you're like, paranoia doesn't let you sleep. It makes sense as a progression. So we'll go with that. You gain a sleep
Next, she'll
disorder.
probably have some splintering of her personality.
Yeah,
Now
there's
that
a bunch of
she's
options.
so sleep deprived and paranoid, she can't hold herself together anymore.
Yeah. I just have to read the description for megalomania before we end tonight, just because, I mean, it's great. But what does it mean to look upon the face of a dead god and live? Some see themselves as messiahs, or as exempt from ordinary morality. Losing 2 or more sanity on any single roll triggers an acute episode in which every hint of doubt about your agent's superiority fills him or her with indignation. That causes every use of a stat or skill to get help or make a good impression to fail. So you just believe yourself to be the best at everything ever, always. You are a god. You can do no wrong. You can never fail. And that can be a recipe for disaster, because why would you ever doubt yourself? And then you just get into all sorts of danger, and it's amazing. But
I
yeah,
started
that's
arranging.
definitely a yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I jumped in early.
Oh, you're good. I'm just yapping.
I was just commenting about what I've done on the Miro board here. I arranged all of the madness stuff in a maddening way.
Oh, good. Where is that?
As well as Octane.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Then it ended, and then we went back to normal.
Everything is fine. Exactly. Well, thank you all for playing tonight. This was a very fun session. We're making some progress. You saved Billy, Pog.
We did.
Saved Billy soon TM.
Exactly. And we'll pick up from there next week and figure out what the consequences of that are.
Yay.
All right. And we're probably going to have to kidnap